New commitment for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the 2025 class, and it's a legacy prospect. I think you guys are going to be fired up about this edition for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Hit the thumbs up on this video before we dive into it. Subscribe to our channel for more content, and please head to blueandgold.com for much more on this news. And it is James Flanagan from Green Bay, Wisconsin, son of former Notre Dame defensive tackle Jim Flanagan. Had himself a pretty good career, not only for Notre Dame, but in the professional ranks as well. 6'6", 220 pounds, ranks as the number 126 overall player, number 4 tight end, according to the 2025 On3 consensus rankings. I think this puts Notre Dame at around 6 commits in this 2025 class. So this video we're about to show on the screen here, this is what Kyle took from seeing him, just a few weeks ago, Kyle. So just tell us about, your thoughts on James Flanagan, this pickup for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Mike, this might be my most favorite commitment since joining the Notre Dame football beat with James Flanagan. This is one I'm really excited about once we heard that Notre Dame was able to get him in the fold. One note, maybe a little reason why I do like him a lot is because he's a hockey player. He's a pretty physical guy, heck of an athlete. Wisconsin's a big hockey state, and as a former hockey player myself, I can really appreciate someone that laces up the skates and stars on the ice. But James Flanagan's an even better football player. On October 16th, On3 updated their On 300 rankings, and James Flanagan made a pretty big rise in it. Now a top 100 player, top 5 player at his position. And I think that's justified after being at Green Bay, Notre Dame, De La Bay Academy to see him at the end of August. As you can kind of see in the video, it's a guy that moves super well, catches the ball easily as an athlete. He has a great motor. I feel like that's a theme of this Notre Dame 2025 class is a lot of these guys just have great motors, finish the play. And he's also a great edge defender in high school as well. You mentioned his dad, Jim Flanagan, played on the defensive line for Notre Dame, got drafted in the 3rd round by the Chicago Bears in 1994. James Flanagan definitely has the defensive line bloodlines for Notre Dame, De La Bay. His stats aren't fantastic on defense this year. He hasn't really been asked to do a whole lot. Has 8 tackles, 4 solo, and a tackle for loss. But on offense, he has 264 yards, 10 catches, and 4 touchdowns on the season. Most of the opponents that Notre Dame, De La Bay has played, they've just been all blowout victories. So they really haven't asked Flanagan to do a whole lot. It's usually about 2 or 3 catches a game. But once he gets to Notre Dame, with the way the Irish use the tight ends in that offense, he is going to be able to have a big role. And I think this is a guy that quarterback commit Deuce Knight is going to love to have in the fold.
So over the summer, Notre Dame added that commitment from Nate Roberts from Washington, Oklahoma. And the word at that point was that Notre Dame was still going to recruit James Flanagan. The Notre Dame staff just really viewed James Flanagan as a really good football player, kind of recruiting him as a quote-unquote athlete. Hey, come here, play tight end, defensive end, whatever. And you might think, well, he's a legacy kid. Of course, they're going to keep recruiting him. There's legacy kids that are like P5 big-time players that Notre Dame won't even offer. So it's not like, oh, he's a legacy, Notre Dame's going to take him. It's because he's a really good football player. They value this prospect. So then Roberts decommits, I think like 3 weeks after he commits. And then Notre Dame's like, hey, we'll still take you as a defensive end. So he's tight end for Notre Dame. But again, if Flanagan's like, you know what, I really want to play defensive end, I think Notre Dame would be like, all right, like, cool. That sounds good to us too, because they just love this kid as a football player. Love this commitment. Off the field, great kid to interact with, pretty low-key family. And I respect it. Like, hey, they just like playing football and, just hanging out. And it's a good group. In my interactions with James and even the one time I got to talk to Jim Flanagan on the phone for a big magazine feature I wrote over the summer for Blue and Gold Illustrated. So just a great young man, always very gracious with his time. So you love this pickup for Notre Dame and just legacy recruiting overall, Kyle. With James Flanagan, you get Bryce Young in this 2024 cycle, maybe getting Jerome Bettis Jr., some big names in the legacy ranks. And of course, there's been many others, in recent memory. In terms of the recruitment, Kyle, we both cover this one pretty closely. Um, Picking Notre Dame over, I would say, Michigan, Stanford, Wisconsin, the other three schools that were very involved here. Can you kind of walk us through how this one came together, Kyle, from Notre Dame offering him to getting him committed?
Yeah, so James Flanagan, like, despite being a top 100 recruit in the country, and as you know, Mike, a lot of these recruitments are so expedited nowadays. So schools are really identifying recruits when they're freshmen. But still, even though James Flanagan had, he has that NFL pedigree and bloodlines, he didn't pick up his first offer until January. He went on game day visits to Minnesota and Wisconsin during the fall of 22, went on a junior day visit to Wisconsin at the end of January. That's when he picked up his first scholarship offer. Notre Dame became the second school to offer him on March 17th during their Pot of Gold Day recruiting event. That's a big one for the Notre Dame 2025 class. That's when they send out those offers to high school sophomore prospects. Upwards of about 65 offers go out that day. Notre Dame offered about 6 or 7 tight ends on St. Patrick's Day, including Nate Roberts, who you mentioned, who ended up decommitting from Notre Dame after a about 2 months long pledge. But Flanagan, right away, as you mentioned, Notre Dame really prioritized him. He still made visits in the summer to Stanford. He's been back at Wisconsin multiple times. He's been to Michigan. Penn State is another school that he really likes. But this wasn't a dramatic recruitment. There were other schools that offered James Flanagan. He didn't report those offers. So he had
Hmm.
his core group of schools. And once the football season kind of rolled around, I think it really became a Notre Dame, Stanford, and Michigan battle. He chose to go to Michigan on September 14th or September 23rd instead of the Notre Dame versus Ohio State game. I believe he went to Stanford the following weekend for a game day visit, then returned to Notre Dame on October 14th for the USC game. All the stars aligned from there. And now Notre Dame has another 2025 commit. And as you mentioned, a legacy recruit in the fold as well.
Yeah. He had kind of talked about wanting to decide after his junior season, but like you said, stars aligned, takes that visit for the USC game, and his first game day recruiting visit to Notre Dame. He had told you in an article after his visit that, like, hey, I've been here for a game before, but I can't even remember. I was so young. So him getting back, I mean, I logged a prediction for him to land at Notre Dame. It seems like forever ago in mid-August, but really it felt like for the longest time that Notre Dame was going to get James Flanagan. Just kind of had to go through the process. Really respected how Flanagan went about his recruiting process for sure. So, folks, that is the news. Notre Dame landing a commitment from James Flanagan, 6'6", 220 pounds. Want to pop up his profile just once more. On3 ranks him as the number 93 overall player, number 5 tight end in the country. And then you see the industry ranking, which weighs all 4 of the rankings. Number 126 overall player, number 4 tight end. If you guys like this news, which you better, it's Notre Dame picking up a big time prospect. Hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel for more content, and as always, head to blueandgold.com for so much more on this news.